I'm Mandy Yarkich from Creative Matters, and you're listening to Creative Matters on Air, where I have conversations with new and established artists from around New Zealand. I love to listen to artists' stories and learn about their creative process, and maybe you do too, which is why I've made this podcast, to inspire, inform and educate. I hope you can take away something positive and encouraging from each of these amazing stories to help you on your own creative journey. Good morning and welcome to Creative Matters. Thank you very much for joining me. Today I'm speaking with Kell Sunshine, also known as Kelly Spencer. Kelly is a lettering artist, muralist and illustrator from Gisborne, New Zealand, with a big love for Mother Earth. Her creative style is characterised by bright and retro fresh colour palettes and curvaceous forms, meticulously handcrafted lettering and illustrative elements of flora and fauna. Kell says, "I consider it a privilege to be able to use my creativity to amplify the voice of Mother Earth, with my personal and client work often serving as a platform to promote love and respect for our natural environment." Kelly does not engage in conversation before consuming coffee in the mornings, but is henceforth a social creature. Things that make her happy include her pup, sunshine, seedlings, the sound of tropical rain, scuba diving, and travel. Kelly shares her journey from fashion design through to graphic design, illustration, and large-scale mural making, some of the collaborations and inspiring projects she's been involved in, and her passion for typography, sunshine, and all things retro. You're going to love listening to her story. I certainly enjoyed meeting Kell, and such an array of sunshine. You can see images of her work on our blog on creativematters.co.nz and on her website kellyspencer.co.nz. Calling Kell Sunshine in Gisborne. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Mandy.
It's lovely to see you in sunny Gisborne with the sun on your gorgeous hair, looking radiant.
Yeah, full sunshine effect.
Yeah, that's appropriate, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It is. So welcome to Creative Matters.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And it's really nice that you can be a guest. And I've been looking into your amazing work and can't wait to hear your story. So let's start from the beginning, Kelly. Where were you born and were you doing amazing creative things when you were little?
I was born in Gisborne, on the east coast of New Zealand. My dog has just arrived as we're starting, just to make some noise. So that's
good to see another dog on the podcast.
Outside.
I'm sure Mazzy will make an appearance at some point also.
Sorry about her. She's got impeccable timing. I was born in Gisborne on the east coast and I grew up here. I lived here until I was 17. Like most Gizzy kids, we were all itching to leave by the time we were teenagers, because in the 90s or early 2000s there wasn't a hell of a lot to do for a young person. But yeah, I grew up here. I now live back in Gizzy. I moved back a year ago. We lived on an orchard for most of my childhood. We started off in town and then moved out to an orchard when I was 7. Which I don't know if I was grateful enough for it at the time, but it was definitely a cool place to grow up with lots of space and animals and fruit trees and, clean air, rainwater drinks. Yeah, lucky to grow up out there.
Sounds idyllic. Yeah, and at that point, were you, one of those sort of makey children?
Totally, yeah. I was. My memory of being a kid is that I was always drawing or making things. Like I did a lot of there's these trajectories that came right through until I was in my 20s, where I was always I was drawing houses a lot. And I don't know if it's something that I caught from my mum, because she was always dreaming up these, potential future homes. but I would draw these elaborate like designs for these cool houses and try and get my little brother involved. And I think he probably joined in to a certain point because he was younger, but eventually he was bigger and he didn't care anymore. And I would also draw a lot of fashion girls. I would draw these because I danced when I was little, and I was also apparently really into clothes, which comes out later. And I would draw these groups, these dance groups, and design all of their costumes for them. I had all A4 pages of like cool costumes on these girls doing different dance poses. And that I remember those as being my two main outlets of actual drawing. Like I wasn't, and the lettering, and everyone from that era will remember the lettering book.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so that, and it had all these different styles of typography in it, and I'd try and copy that and trace over some of them because onto like baking paper. And
yeah,
I think I was like, I was always making title pages at school.
I remember those. I love those too. That was probably my favorite part of school, actually, the title pages.
Me too.
Yeah.
And there was some projects where the title page was all I actually finished. And I remember the teachers being like, this is beautiful, but we actually needed some content within this hour as well. It didn't call content at the time, but
oh, that's so funny.
I remember my like school friends asking me to do their title pages for them and do all the titles up at the headers at the top of the page.
And that was the beginning of a fascination for lettering, I suppose.
Totally. And obviously I had no idea until much, much later what was going on, but it's always really cool to look back on things from when you're super little and go, oh, even that made sense. How amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? How much, stuff from your childhood sort of ends up informing your practice. Yeah.
We had to do a project about Canada. I don't know, it's probably about 8 or something at the time. And I remember handing in my project, and it was beautiful. It had a great cover and a contents page, and then each of these different pages about different animals that lived in Canada. And I thought I had done so well. Like I was so proud of it. And when we got it back, my teacher was like, the project was actually supposed to be about all of Canada, like not just what kind of animals lived there.
Oh, bless. But I'm sure it was beautiful. Your project looked amazing. Oh, I'm just going to pause. We've got a barking dog issue again. Just one moment. Okay, so the dog issue has been resolved. Carrying on, I'm just talking about your creative family, Kelly.
I was a bit of an anomaly in the family. Like, I remember I had these 2 great aunties, and they lived here in Gisborne, but they died when I was quite young. The one was a writer and one was an artist, and they lived together in their old age in this beautiful house with this big garden. And I've always been really gutted that they weren't alive when I was older, so that I could have like actually connected to that part of the family.
Yeah, what a shame.
Understand quite a bit more. But other than that, not a hugely creative family. But I was one of those lucky kids that had encouraging parents. Like I never had that pressure, like, well, this art thing, where's that going to take you? Obviously, they were practical and they're like, are you making money? I'm like, yes, Dad, I'm making money. But they weren't like, don't go to art, go to maths. They recognized early on that I was really creative, and like I did a few music lessons. I would learn various instruments, but I never had the patience to read the music. I would always just play it by ear, and that frustrated the music teachers, which in turn frustrated me because I wanted to do it my way. And always art supplies. Like I remember going to my friends' houses being like, where is your art drawer? Why is there not a drawer full of things to make stuff with? And, eventually figured out, well, that not everybody has that. And that
and that's so good, isn't it, to be encouraged like that from your parents?
Totally.
Yeah.
And just to have that freedom, I'm really grateful to have. I mean, I could have been guided to take school a bit more seriously in high school, but also I don't regret having the freedom to kind of follow my own path, because it's what I've continued doing. Maybe they just knew I was too stubborn to try and force.
Yeah. Well, they probably trusted that you would take that creativity and take it somewhere, which you have. So, very good. And at high school, Kel, were you doing creative things and taking all the art subjects?
Yeah, all the way through. Yeah, I went straight into, I don't know if it was common, but we had art all the way from 3rd form to 7th form, which is whatever those 5 years of high school are called nowadays. And was always there. And I was doing drama as well and music and trying to evade as many of the academic subjects as I could. I was good at them. Like, I was good at maths and English, but I was bored in those classes. So by 7th form, we were super lucky. We got this new art department, a big new art building at my high school here in Gisborne. And more fortunate stuff, I had my form teacher was one of like 3 teachers that I got on with at the high school, and she was super creative and flamboyant and chill and real sassy. And she basically she was also my English teacher. By 7th form, I was doing design, photography, painting, art history, and English.
Wow.
Those are my 5 subjects, and I just wouldn't go to English. And I remember her sitting down with me going, Kelly, look, I know that you're either in the dance room or the art room. Just can you make sure that you do enough of the English work as well? And then when you're not here, I know where you are.
Yeah. How good is that?
Really good.
Yeah. And she was probably quite an inspiration to you, I imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, when you're a teenager, to get respect from an adult that kind of treats you like an adult, like, it actually can mean quite a lot. And push you up to actually, take yourself seriously and try.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and those kind of teachers just make such a difference to kids, don't they?
They really do.
Yeah, and they can change the path that you take. I mean, there's a lot of power in that connection with a role model or someone who's, believing in you and encouraging you and, inspiring you.
It's so true. I remember my drama teacher as well. He, I wasn't a bad kid, but I was like, I had big opinions.
I bet you did.
And I would often share those. Teachers don't always love that. But so I sort of, I was misunderstood a little bit, I think. And I remember my drama teacher, who was also a real great guy, he pulled me out one day at the end of the class. I was sweet in drama, and he said to me, Kelly, I've been looking at your SAT scores from intermediate, and you're good at school. What are you doing? Why are you not taking things seriously? And I was like, I don't know what the answer I gave him was, but that was, again, one of those moments where he cared enough to look into it. And I never forgot that. It was like, oh, thank you for acknowledging that I actually do know what I'm up to, but yes, okay, I'm not doing it the way that the system would like me to.
Yeah, and this is what you're into, and this is how you're expressing yourself at this time, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing, eh?
No.
And so when you left school, what was your plan? Were you thinking you were going to be a full-time artist and do all this amazing stuff, or?
No, I was going to be a fashion designer. So those drawings from when I was a child of the dancers and their cool costumes. So I finished high school in the year 2000, and back then, the internet was still relatively fresh, and it's going to date things, eh? And there's definitely no Instagram, and it was a small town, and so there wasn't so much of the encouragement that you could make a career out of being an artist or an illustrator. Like, I barely knew what an illustrator was when I left high school, but I knew what fashion design was, and that was kind of in those glory days of like when New Zealand fashion was doing really well. We had World and Zambezi, Karen Walker and Kate Sylvester and all them, and I was super into fashion. And by that time, like I had this diary where I would note down, I would draw a picture of what I had worn, because we got to wear mufti in 7th form. I drew a picture of what I'd worn every day to make sure that I didn't repeat the same outfit within a month.
How amazing. I love that.
Because I was sewing as well, so it was easy to do. Like I would make new stuff all the time. And I know. So
that's brilliant. Have you still got it?
I don't know. I probably do.
That would be great to pull it out.
I've got a box of my old diaries that I sometimes wonder what would happen if I died and someone found them, and I'd be devastated.
Oh, that's so funny. So that was the beginning, obviously, of your fashion career. So what happened? Where did you go? What did you do?
Yeah. So I went and studied. I went to the Polytech in Tauranga because again, with the petulance, I didn't want to go to university because I knew that I would have to write essays and I would have to stay in school for longer. So I opted for Polytech, which I don't regret at all, because it was a great fashion school there and it was all hands-on, really great tutors. It was a 2-year diploma. So once I came out of that, I had gained a lot of practical skills, which I didn't have prior. And I launched at the ripe old age of 21, I think, or 20, I launched a little fashion label where I was making like kind of lingerie and sleepwear and selling it at a local store here, because I ended up moving back to Gizzy briefly after studying. And that went well. It's like doing dressmaking for like a few people around town, and then also selling these bits and pieces through the lingerie store here in Gizzy.
How amazing. And what kind of stuff were you creating?
Like cute little bralette things and underwear and little sleep shorts and slips, all from like yummy silk and florals and stuff. Yeah, I was always going to work for myself.
Yeah.
That was a known fact since I was a little kid.
Yeah. And did you have any sort of natural business sense, do you think, or did you kind of learn along the way?
I think I do, yes. I can't pinpoint what it is or how it is, but I'm a creative, and I'm also quite practical. So I think, I don't know how that was nurtured or where it came from. My dad was a business owner, so I had him as a role model. But I think maybe it's just something that came naturally, like a little bit alpha, like as an adult, when I end up in groups like dance groups or anything, I will often take on a kind of leadership role, whether I like it or not. It happens.
Yeah.
Quite organically. And there's some people that just like that, and I'll just step into it because it's like, well, it needs to be done, so I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of attitude and just I feel like it's kind of a naivety, but I don't know if at the root of it is naivety, or if it's confidence blended with naivety.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, you believe in yourself, obviously, and you're also just that. I mean, I can see you're just that kind of person who's pretty proactive and makes stuff happen.
Yeah, just kind of just go and do it and hope for the best has been my
Yeah. And so what happened with that business and where to from there?
Well, then I turned like 21, 22 and I discovered traveling. So that was out the door. I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to be 20. And I shut that down and I discovered traveling and I started doing waitressing like any regular 20-something-year-old and was tired of all that responsibility. So fashion kind of went out the window. At that point, was like, also, it was bothering me how, bearing in mind, again, this is the early 2000s, there wasn't many examples of sustainable fashion. And I was sort of looking at the industry going like, this is ridiculous, this constant making of new clothes and new trends and that changing all the time and all of this fabric. And I stopped believing in it. And, nowadays there's people doing really awesome stuff. And had I seen that at the time, maybe I would have felt differently, but wasn't examples of it at that point.
No, which is amazing, isn't it? Just 20 years ago, it was quite a different landscape.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, fast fashion hadn't even fully kicked off at that point. I mean, I think, we had Glassons and Just Jeans and stuff, but it wasn't what it is now.
No, it's different. And so with the traveling, were you starting to think that you wanted to get back into painting and illustration at that time?
Yeah. So I was living in Australia in my early 20s and had started getting back into drawing, and I'm glad we're not videoing this because I'm just full sun in my face.
Which I just keep thinking is so appropriate, being Kell Sunshine and all.
I can't see a thing, but it feels I discovered that illustration was a thing at that point. So there was quite a few cool illustrators based in Aussie, and I was starting to get exposed to them, and there were these great books getting released about illustrators. And so I was dabbling in illustration. I was thinking of it more so at that point of I will make work and then I will sell it, rather than the kind of client-based route, which is the opposite of that, whereas you will come to me and hire me and then I will draw you something, So I was producing a few little things. And then it wasn't until I was in Central America.
Somewhere in Central America.
Somewhere in Central America on a boat in the Caribbean. There was this American girl, and she was about my age, a couple years older, and she was a graphic designer, and she had her MacBook with her, and she was working whilst traveling. And that was like my single most pivotal moment, where, again, bearing in mind that the era, we didn't have Instagram. It was not normal to work remotely. Like, that was a huge thing for me. And I saw her, I was like, that's genius. That's what I'm going to do. It's like, holy shit, I've learned how much I love traveling all of a sudden. This has to be my life. And I want to be an illustrator as well.
Yeah, brilliant combination.
So that kind of became the base of what I was going to do with my life, and is still the case now. And I think I got back to Aussie, and was still started trying to build that, and then ended up moving to Wellington after coming back to New Zealand. And that's when I started taking it seriously and started making friends with musicians, and making like band posters for them. And, New Zealand, because it's a beautiful little village, word of mouth works its magic quite quickly. And so I was then, meeting people that were organizing theatre shows and doing little bits of graphic design and earning peanuts, charging peanuts. That was my own fault because I was young, but just started building up a body of work and creating these things that I love to make. And
so at that point, it was mostly posters, using lettering again. That was obviously appearing.
Using the lettering, but at that point, I still didn't know lettering was a thing. So I was doing it and loving it, and but I just counted it as part of the illustration, and it was just kind of supplementary,
Yeah.
It was graphic design and illustration at the start of my career. The murals came later. And I carried on with that and was still miraculously able to travel despite being very new, but could live off $7 a day kind of thing.
Yeah.
Get away with it.
In the good old days.
In the right countries.
Yeah.
And then kind of halfway along was when I realized that lettering was a thing. It was just starting to become a well-known kind of outlet. And this is probably 8 years ago now, I think. I was like, oh, that those letters that I love drawing, that's an actual niche of its own. And full obsessive, because
Really?
once I'd realized that there was space for it in the design world, I was like, oh my God, well, I'm good at this. I'm just gonna go wild on lettering.
Yeah, which is so great, isn't it? That you found your sort of niche in a way.
Totally.
Yeah. And you're sort of, I mean, you're obviously quite drawn to flowers and nature and other things with the lettering. Did that come at the same time, or did that kind of develop over time alongside?
That's been more recent. And so during this whole illustration journey, I've never really drawn people. I've never been pulled towards drawing people. And a lot of people are, like a lot of illustrators are pulled towards drawing human representations, but it never really felt necessary for me. Like I've always felt like it's more important to give a voice to animals and plants. And that ever since I was a child, I've been super big on animals.
Right back to the Canada project.
Yeah, well, exactly. All these threads, eh? So for the half, or probably even more than half of my illustration journey, I was always drawing animals, and that eventually became really ocean focused as well. So it was mostly sort of drawing life, like ocean life, because animals don't speak the language that we speak, and so they're often underrepresented and disrespected. So for me, it's always been super important to create that space for them to get into the limelight. And it wasn't until more recently, and I really think that it was pandemic related. Once I had to stop traveling 2.5 years ago and made a few decisions, like I left Wellington a year ago and, got this intense need to put plants in the ground. I just wanted to grow things. I wanted to grow my own veggies. And it's now transpired into trees and flowers, and God knows how far this is going to go. But I think that there was some sort of subconscious synchronicity that happened where I was no longer able to go to these exotic locations across oceans, that I was kind of grounded. Like we were all grounded, obviously, and we had to just stay still. And these plants, just all of these flowers started happening.
Amazing. And you returned to Gisborne where you grew up.
Yeah.
And why do you think you went back there?
I was always going to come back. It was just a matter of when. I love it here. Like, it's definitely isolated, but that's got its pros and its cons. I'd grown tired of the city and definitely tired of being cold.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many wonderful things there, and my friends who I've sort of, I've become an adult amongst in that city, and obviously the creative community and the gigs and the shows and all that stuff is amazing, but it's still there and I can go there when I want.
Yeah.
But coming home again, it was like, well, if I can't travel, I may as well go home.
That's the next best thing. Yeah.
I really wanted a dog too, so to do that I had to come here.
Yeah, and that dog now is affecting how you travel. So
now the dog starts travel.
another full circle.
Yeah, and I knew it was going to be the case, and I basically just had to shut down that part of my brain because I wanted a dog for so long.
And they're such good companions, aren't they? They're just the best.
Yes, they're the best. And she makes me laugh every single day. Like nobody can make me laugh every day like she can, and that's
so
amazing.
Good. Yeah, and they don't talk back, so that's always handy.
Well, mine talks back.
No, I'm not going down there.
She's like a dog representation of myself as a teenager, which is just karma, isn't it?
Oh my God, yeah, that's payback. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So Kelly, you I love the list that you made on your Instagram, which I saw a few weeks ago. So I'm just going to read this really cool list of all the things that you've managed to do. And we were talking about it earlier that it's not always a Kiwi thing to kind of put it out there, but I think it's awesome that you did, and it's inspiring for lots of people, I'm sure. So if I read this list, and then we can start talking about your current practice. Oh. So you say, hey, yo, I made a list. Every time someone asks me what specific types of work I do, my mind goes blank. The variety is so vast that my memory just short circuits from overwhelm. For too many years, I've been ending these convos saying, I really must sit down and make a list. And finally, I've done it. I've illustrated flags, tarot cards, journals, books, album covers, blackboards, T-shirts, tote bags, greeting cards, jigsaws, signage, profile pics, beer labels, wine labels, kombucha labels, web graphics, tea towels, environmental solutions, weddings, promotion for tea, chocolate, olive oil, posters for theatre, gigs, festivals, birds, logos for seaweed, fashion labels, bands, yoga, Pilates, deodorant, honey, adventure, tourism. I've painted on walls a boat, a fiberglass elephant, and a fiberglass owl. Skateboards, windows, a paella pan, a giant fridge, a bus shelter. I've created for clients using salt, paper, chocolate, glitter. I've worked with 250 plus clients. I've painted 48 murals and participated in 18 street art festivals across New Zealand, Australia, Mexico, Indonesia, and USVI. What's USVI again?
United States Virgin Islands.
Virgin Islands, right. Yo! Okay, so that's a pretty impressive list. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And, you've obviously taken that illustration and graphic design and painting, to a massive level over the last 8 years. So how have you made that happen?
How have I made that happen? By just keeping going. By connections. All of this is built and I could never have pre-constructed the path that's led me to where I am. But, when you look back, you can see each little link along the way that's pushed you into each different direction, which I think is a really important thing. Like when you are looking into taking on a project or turning a little corner or going in any direction, like you don't know what's going to come from that. And I think that's quite an important thing in life as well. Like, just daily living life. You may have something offered to you or be invited to something, and you can be like, well, I'm not really sure if that's what I was expecting or what I want. But when you go to that thing, you don't know what's going to come from it. Like when you meet a person, you don't know what's going to come from that encounter and what's going to grow from it. And every time you add a new little dot, it's almost certainly got several other dots connected to it that you have the potential to shoot along and keep building this pick a path. Like you remember those pick a path?
Yeah. Totally.
So often I have felt like that is how life works. Is just choose a direction and see what happens. So yeah, I made that list because I'm super, super grateful for all of the things that I've been able to do. Like it meant a lot to me to actually read that back and go like, that is really cool. Like it's validating and I'm proud of what I have done. And it's been possible because of 100 different things and 1,000 different people and opportunities, and all of that works together to build the web of this continuing adventure. But yeah, like I say, the lettering, I often felt like stuff is kind of not a mistake,
accidental.
That's the one. Like just happens to be that way. And once I discovered the lettering, I went nuts on it, and then got into sign painting, which I still do a little bit of, and murals. I remember my studio mate Sean in Wellies, who's a good friend. I would often watch him go out to go and paint street art with all his cool street art mates, and I was like, oh yeah, that's nice, that's that thing you guys do, and just didn't really engage heaps until I started tagging along a little bit and helping out on the aerosol. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is fun.
Really?
And then I was like, I have to paint more walls.
Oh, wow. But I've always wondered how it must be, for artists who start small scale and then sort of go big like that. How was that transition?
The best advice anyone ever gave me was another street art friend, and he said, Kelly, it's just the same. You just do it bigger, which sounds real basic, but it's, when you break it down, it's like you just use bigger tools and you stand further back, and then it's the same thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
It actually takes me longer to paint a smaller painting than it does to paint a wall, because you have to be so much more precious and you're so much more close to it.
Yeah.
Even though I'm quite precious when I'm unnecessarily precious when I'm painting on a wall.
That's really interesting, isn't it? And so how can you talk us through the process for creating a large scale mural?
Yeah, so I do all of my pre-design work on the iPad. I got sucked into the iPad zone about 6 years ago, and I basically haven't turned back, to the point where I've almost forgotten how to draw with a pencil, and need to actually try harder to draw with a pencil again before I lose it completely.
Are you using a pencil on your computer, or is it?
Yeah. The iPad has an Apple Pencil, which is a stylus. So technically the same thing.
Yeah. You hold it the same, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. But it's really different. It's a really different, just tiny details of how it is different drawing on a screen compared to drawing on paper. But I love working in that way because I'm super into color. So if I start designing, I can immediately have the colors in the artwork rather than having to imagine them on the paper.
Yeah, true.
Which I've also found is just super useful for client work, because they are able to, clients have varying degrees of creative imagination, and you could send something to someone as a line work and they may not get it. They might not be able to see that final vision despite how well you try and explain it. Whereas if you've got color in it from the get-go, it's a lot easier for people to visualize that in their space on their wall. Also, you can mock it up on the wall in advance.
And you can change the colors really easily, can't you?
Change the colors really.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And
so good.
Patient. I don't like things taking ages.
Yeah, but that's brilliant. It's such a good resource. So once you've done the design, what happens then?
Yeah, so that's the starting process. I'm able to mock it up on the wall and see how it will look in real life, and how it, I try and fit my work in with the environment, so make the colors so that they actually sit well with where they're going to be. And obviously the design is relevant for whatever the brief is, if it's client stuff, or whatever I feel is right for the space. If it's non-client work, speaks about something that is relevant for that area, or a message that is important for those people in the area to hear. And then it's mixing colors, which I really, really enjoy doing. So I've got so many paints at this stage just left over from jobs that I'm often able to, for personal stuff anyway, when I have full reign of the color palette, I'll mix all my paints to get all these colors right and have those all ready to go. And then as far as getting work onto a wall, sometimes I'll project it if it's internal and if there's space. then I've got a projector that I take along with my computer and transfer the lines directly onto the wall that way. But it's often not possible if you can't step back far enough, or sometimes if you're outdoors, it's just too much admin for the most part. So we all have those of us that do this kind of work, we do what's burying names, but a squiggle grid, which you might have heard of before, where you basically go up to the wall and you draw hieroglyphics and scribbles and whatever you want all over the wall, and then take a photo of that and then superimpose that over I'm doing hand motions, which is so useful on a podcast. Superimpose that over your design on the iPad, and then you've essentially got a map.
Oh, right.
The design's going to go. It's like the grids that we did in school, where you would draw
enlarging,
enlarge something. But because it's scribbles, I think it's a human brain thing. Like, we're not designed to work in grids, despite how hard we keep trying to operate within grids. We're wiggly, so there's something that makes it easier to trace the design up based on squiggles and shapes rather than the square grid. The square grid, it's hard to explain, but it's faster. It's faster and less confusing. Like, it tweaks your brain less when you've got these organic shapes to trace the artwork over rather than a perfect grid.
Oh, that's so interesting. No, I'd never actually heard of that kind of grid, but that makes sense, and that sort of more organic feel with the line, and then I guess that kind of fits with your work better as well.
Exactly. I mean, if you're a super geometric artist, then probably an actual grid would be fine.
More mathematical, maybe. And then how do you once you've got your lines up on the wall, you just apply the paint into the shapes?
Just start blocking it. Oh, sorry, dog's back with bone. Outside.
My dog is finally asleep in bed, thank goodness, after alerting us to everybody who was passing for a moment.
I'm just going to shut my one out outside. Good girl. See you later. Bye.
Okay, we're coming back. Here she is, back in the sunshine.
And then the fun bit, then the paint bit, which I love. I just love being on a wall. You don't have to do anything else when you're on a wall. You can't. There's no like distractions. Well, there's obviously distractions. There's people coming past all the time, but it's just for someone that is often doing too many things at once, to just be like, here I am, and this is what I'm working on right now. I'm at this wall for 8 to 12 hours a day, and I'm putting paint on it, and I'm listening to music or podcasts and talking to people. And that's the best thing. And I thoroughly enjoy the act of putting paint, huge brush strokes, onto a wall and just dragging those long lines and chipping away at it until it is done.
I can imagine. It would be such a satisfying process.
It is. It really is.
And do you use brushes and aerosol combined?
No, I stopped using aerosol. I used to use it, but I stopped about 4 years ago. It's really fun and it's fast, but it's really toxic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a lot of friends that still use it, and I totally understand why. And a lot of them are starting to shift away from it, but just the waste and the chemicals, I would sort of come away from a couple of days working with aerosol and feel like I could feel it in my body. I could feel it even with a mask, I could feel it in my lungs, and I could feel it in my mental space. Like, it's a chemical. So if you ingest enough of that through your nasal passages, it's getting you high. So I would feel these come downs from using the aerosol. I think I've got a super susceptible body to anything like that.
Mm.
This isn't okay. Like, I can't be doing this to my body long term. So I stopped. And I remember the first mural that I did without the aerosol, I was like, oh yeah, it'll take me like 4 days. It'll be great. And then at day 5, it's like, oh my God, I forgot how long brushes take.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I imagine it takes a lot longer.
It does. But I don't know, because I do brushes full time now, I'm a lot faster than I was when I
Yeah.
stopped using aerosol.
And I mean, some of your mural projects, obviously, a sort of client has asked for something in particular for a particular space. And then other times, like you were saying, you get a space that you're allowed to paint on. And often when it's more your own gig, that's when you like to sort of bring those messages that mean something to you through. And so obviously lettering is such a great way to communicate.
Yeah.
But how do you sort of present things that are important to you through your mural making?
Yeah, I always try, and it's a fine line with typography between being cheesy or not. I always try and avoid inspirational quotes because they are great. They have their place in the world, but I personally find them a bit tedious at times. So I try and create messaging that can be interpreted in a few different ways. Like, I really like to have something that's a little bit open, a little bit quirky, and often on the surface of it means one thing, but when you look at the context, it becomes clear that it actually means something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't type is so obvious, like, it's very easy to be very direct, and I'm always kind of fighting that. I don't want to be too obvious, and I think probably sometimes I've taken it too far because people are like, oh, I had no idea what that meant. That's all right. Yeah, I don't want it to, it's a weird thing. It's a fight with the type. Like, I've gone
Yeah, I can imagine.
through the last few years of being like, actually, I don't even want to touch type. I really want to be able to express what I'm doing really through illustration rather than through lettering. But I've come back around, and now I think we're at a more peaceful place now, me and the lettering, where I'll bring it in when I need it and I won't when I don't. And people don't expect me to do it 100% of the time, which is where I was trying to get to.
Yeah, which is good. You've got a little bit of leeway, I guess. And so your work, Cal, is it's so funky and cool. I just love it. And I mean, you can definitely tell your work is, when you see a piece of your work, you can tell it's Kell Sunshine's amazing artwork. So how would you describe your style, and can you talk about the retro sort of vibe that goes on?
Yeah, the retro vibe. I've often said I think I was born in the wrong decade. I have been into that vibe since I was a young teenager. And I remember Mum saying, like, why do you like that stuff? Because obviously she'd lived through that decade. It's like, it's just so good. It's the best. All those like seemingly clashing colors and bold, bright floral prints and curvy lines, all that stuff. I love it. I've always loved it. And it's come through more and more in my work. My style, it's super clean. It's something that I keep trying to fight as well, but it just is how it is. It's really tight and clean. And when I retire, I'm going to become an abstract painter just to create some contrast to that.
Loosen up.
Just to shake it all out.
Yeah, you'll probably end up sort of a very well-formed abstract artist as well. It's probably in you. Might be hard to change. Yeah.
Watch this space in 20 to 30 years.
Yeah.
Relatively bright colors, really curvy shapes. Like, I have an aversion to straight lines. How else will I describe my work?
How would you describe the colors? I mean, obviously very bright, but do you have sort of a favorite color palette or color combination?
Can't get enough of pink and green.
I can see that in the poster behind you.
I hated pink and green when I was younger. Remember that there's that mascara that's got a pink bottle with a green lid?
Yes, I totally know what you mean.
And it used to bug me. I was like, why was pink and the green? And the last few years, I just can't get enough of it. Always warm tones, like it's always sort of the oranges, that real that yellowy green mossy color. I love that, and it finds its way into almost everything these days. Pink, love pink, warm yellows and teals and turquoises, and every now and then a quite bluey purple. Yeah, it's always, I don't do primary colors. I'm not big on them, and I don't like, I mean, I love it in other people's work, but for my work, I just always pull back from super bold, densely saturated colors. Whereas, yes, my work's really bright and warm toned and colorful, but it's never that full saturation red or blue.
It's very, very cool. And all the smaller works are created in a similar way to your murals?
Yeah, still often designed digitally. And then I can sketch it onto a canvas or a skateboard or whatever it's on. I'm working on a skateboard at the minute. And smaller brushes.
Yeah.
Smaller brushes. So I often end up painting kind of differently. Like I'll go into more detail when I'm painting smaller, when it's on a wall, because walls don't always, there's not often a need for hyper detail because it gets lost.
Yeah, or blending as much, maybe.
Yeah. Something I constantly have to learn. I've had friends who have been doing murals longer than me come up to me and be like, what are you doing? Why are you why are you worrying about that tiny little area? I'm like, oh God, you're right. Step back.
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? It's just a different perspective with that large work. And what are your favorite sort of mediums for working on? Or, what is your favorite out of all these amazing things that you do? What is your happiest place?
My happiest place is always murals, for sure. Yeah. I love illustration. Like half of my work is illustration, and that's done digitally, which is really nice in winter, especially to be cozied up with the heater and the dog and drawing. And I mean, it's a romantic idea to do murals full time. And maybe if I was hyper famous and traveling only to warm locations, that'd be epic, and I wouldn't complain.
Yeah.
But it is a lot. It's hard on your body to be doing those walls full time. So I really enjoy having the mix of sitting down, doing the digital, and then physically doing the big walls. But murals are definitely my favorite space. Like it's a whole experience because I'm quite social. I really like being out there in public and being able to engage with different people that I wouldn't otherwise. Random people don't show up at my studio, but when you're on the street, you're super vulnerable to whoever happens to be there. And it's like, it's not up to you who you're socializing with. It's just whoever comes past. And that's quite valuable, I think.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
In our own social settings, you choose who you're hanging out with, you choose what you go to, but when you're out there exposed, like, you get to and hear what people think about art and hear what they're seeing and get that direct feedback, be it complimentary or not. And obviously there's wild cards and you deal with them as they come.
I can imagine when you're partway through the process, they're like, oh, I'm not sure what you're doing here.
Oh, totally. The squiggle grid drives people nuts. Like, it's basically just like a kid's drawing all over the wall. And honestly, like we often joke about it. Like people will come along and be like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Oh, that's cool. It's like, I know you're trying to be nice. This is not the mural. This is
the grid. That's really funny.
Oh.
And your your love of being with other humans has led you obviously to quite a lot of collaborative projects and that kind of thing. And so it'd be great to talk about the seawalls, which you've done in Mexico, Gisborne, and Napier.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just looking at the videos on your website. It's so amazing, such incredible projects. So yeah, can you tell us about that?
Ultimate happy place. So seawalls, I joined the seawalls family for maybe 4.5 years ago, I think. When I lived in Wellies, I would always come home to Gisborne every summer for as long as possible because addicted to sunshine. And I was staying with another artist here, doing a little artist residency, and got this idea that I was in a position to create something of scale for Gizzy in Gizzy that had environmental messaging. And that was kind of my criteria. It's like, I want to create a big project. I don't know what it is. And I had seen the seawalls, the first year of seawalls in Napier. I'd driven through and seen all those murals, which was organized by my friend Sinza. And so I wrote to Sinza and I said, hey, what do you reckon about doing seawalls in Gizzy? And he said, yeah. I don't think we even had met at the time, but he's just like super enthusiastic, driven guy. And he was like, yeah, sounds like a great idea. Yeah. So he got in touch with the organizers, Trey and Akira, who run PangeaSeed, which is the foundation that is behind seawalls. They live in Hawaii. And I didn't realize at the time, but there was another Napier activation happening that year. So they were like, yeah, sounds great. This girl who's never organized a festival in her life, but obviously believed in me. And
wow. So you were taking on the actual organization in Gisborne.
Again, kind of happened by accident. I don't think I knew I was taking on the festival when I first approached.
Wow.
They invited me through to Napier for that second year, and that was my first real festival experience. And I was just like a kid in a candy store. There was all these cool artists from all around the world, and it's like school camp. You're hanging. Erica was there, who you spoke to a few weeks back. That was the first time her and I had met, actually, and we were just high on festival life, surrounded by people that think like you from around the world who are into the same stuff as you, and you can just talk about that all day and have fun.
How amazing.
And paint all day.
And is the festival sort of just like a massive bunch of murals that have been created in one area kind of thing?
Yeah, that's the bones of a festival. But the difference with seawalls is that the artists are handpicked based on your priorities and interests, and the sort of the kaupapa of creating artwork which speaks for the environment. So seawalls is all about ocean conservation. So behind the festival, there's a bunch of workshops and like events and stuff that happen that are always trying to generate noise and information and share information, all science-backed about ocean conservation, what's going on around the world, specifically in coastal regions. And so that was what we were doing in Napier, outside of, running around in the candy store. But I got to meet those guys. They were organizing it, and they got to meet me, and like, let's do it. Let's do another one of these in Gizzy. I can see how this works. We can make this happen. Again, with the, I don't have project like festival organization skills, but I'm practical and I'm able to piece things together and make, work out how it works to make it happen.
How incredible.
Later, we did it in Gizzy. We had,
wow.
I think we had 18 artists in the end. It was supposed to be 10, but just got a little bit carried away.
Wow.
And created 25 works through Gizzy and an hour up the coast in Uawa as well. We did 4 more up there with just a small crew of us. And that was amazing. And people are still talking about it and asking for more to this day.
Really? I can imagine.
It changes a streetscape, and it just brought people together. Like, we brought all these people out of the woodwork, and I got to learn about people in my hometown who care about the same things that I care about. and we had kids coming through, like so many school groups are doing a walking tour, and it's getting kids talking about why it's super important to look after the oceans, look after the shore, like be aware of what they're doing, and they in turn go home and talk to their parents. Like,
Yeah.
so it has this flow-on effect. So
Yeah. And it's so great to have that message communicated through art. So, the children and the adults are learning about the conservation and preservation of the sea, but also, engaging with art.
and it's accessible. There's
Yeah.
no hierarchy. Like, anybody can walk the streets, like I was saying before, and that's the super cool thing about street art. Like, galleries are complicated. Some people aren't comfortable in a gallery. Some galleries you have to pay to go inside, whereas when it's on the street, that is for absolutely anybody that is able to get out and see on the streets, if not photographed on the internet.
And so just going back to Gisborne and to all of those projects, I guess, how do they figure out the walls that are going to be used? You just kind of walk around the town and find spots and check out who owns them and go from there?
Yeah, it's very much, it's a very hands-on process. We sort of, very early on, Cinder and I did a walk around, because he helped guide me through a lot of it, obviously, because he's done it before. We did a walk around the streets and identified a bunch of great walls. And in a town like Gizzy, which had hardly been touched by street art, there was a few, but not a lot. There was a lot of blank walls. And so we just identified them all and then knocked on doors and would ask if we could talk to or get the contact of the owner. And where that didn't work, I would search council databases, because we've got the database where you can look up the owner of any particular property. And because it's Gizzy, which is quite funny, half the time I could recognize a last name and go, oh yeah, I know your niece. So I'll come at you through that.
Yeah, that's quite handy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how did the artists have to kind of present a brief to you or to the organisers before they sort of got underway with the project?
No, because, and that's often the way, I think it's almost always the way with festivals. We handpick artists for seawalls. So people have a body of work already. There's an element of trust there. You know what somebody's capable of, what their style is. And like, we would show the building owners who's going to be working on their wall. And for the most part, it's a really trust-based process. You're like, this person, because it's not full commercial rates for the most part. We're working on changing that with festivals, but for the most part, it's such an expensive thing to run that we do it partially out of love. I mean, it's fully out of love, but for that reason, artists get full freedom to, and I mean, that's the point. It's like, please come to this town and produce what you produce.
Yeah, express yourself in your way.
Yeah. It's not a client job. Like, that's the bonus.
Yeah.
So
that's probably more joy for the artist, I guess.
Absolutely, because it's for us, and it's a opportunity to, like, when you're painting, it's an opportunity to do something that you've been wanting to do without any pressure from a brief, and actually get that on the wall. And that in turn leads to you then getting employed to do more of what you want to be doing. So it's this ping pong effect.
That's right. Yeah. And I mean, how often do these festivals come about? The sea
Well, there
walls.
used to be a lot.
Yeah, lately.
A couple a year. PangeaSeed, they've been focusing a lot more on doing art prints recently, and they've also just released a beautiful book showcasing a lot of the pieces that have gone up over the last, I don't know how many years. It's probably 10 years at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an incredible project. Oh my gosh. I think about our sort of area northwest of Auckland. I would just love to create something like that out here, that just brings more public art into this area.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I've done a few projects out here, a few murals, and they're just, everybody connects so strongly to them when they're in their own community, and it sort of it becomes part of their day-to-day life often, and they really connect with it, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's their world, it's their space.
So Kelly, you've done a few other collaborations, well, lots of collaborations, haven't you? But I was looking at the one with the Whittakers Chocolate, which looked amazing. Yeah. How did that come about?
They approached me towards the end of the year about, because they do this artist series where they say create art with chocolate. I was like, yes, perfect. Love chocolate. And at the time I had just bought my van and decked it out into a camper and was headed home to Gizzy for summer as per. And so, they wrote to me there and said, do you want to do this? I was like, I do. My proposition is that you come to Gisborne and film it. That's where I'm going to be.
So good.
But I've got this cool new camper and we can, it's got a desk set up in it and I can use it it's designed to be used as a working studio, like a mobile studio space.
Cool.
And they loved it. And so they flew out and we hung out at the beach for the day, painting with chocolate in the beautiful sunshine, and made a Instagram video about it. Yeah, that was fun. I love jobs like that, obviously.
It was so great. And got to eat the chocolate at the end, I hope. You created a design and then they melted the chocolate and you painted with it with a paintbrush. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, I melted it. We had the little gas cooker out there, and the project manager was there stirring it to make sure it stayed at the right temp, because melted chocolate's a kind of process, turns out.
Amazing.
Be able to make it paint worthy. I did get edited at the end. I've only just, so that was probably two years ago. A year and a half ago now. I've only just started being able to eat dark Ghana chocolate again because I got really sick of it.
Really?
From the practice runs. Best product that I had.
That would have been good though, I guess, the dark chocolate for the lettering. So you painted the actual the lettering, didn't you? The words were painted in chocolate. Yeah. I'll put that on your blog post. It's very, very cool. And did they use that for an ad or like an ad on TV?
Nah, it was on Instagram and Facebook. It was just a little promotional series that they do, engaging with Kiwi creatives and seeing what you can make with chocolate.
So good. It's a great concept. It would have been good on TV too, I reckon. Mind you, probably nobody watches TV anymore.
Well, exactly.
It's like an old-fashioned thing. Oh, it's so funny. Yeah. And were there any other projects that you'd like to talk about, Kelly, that you've done that have really lit your fire?
Oof, that's a big question.
You've done so many, haven't you? It's hard to choose.
There's been so many.
How did you find the animal, the painting the elephant or painting the owl kind of concept?
Oh, those are fun. They were both quite a while ago now. The elephant was like my first exciting overseas project because that was in Melbourne. So they took me over to Melbourne to do that. And that was cool. I really enjoy painting on things that aren't flat, like shapes, created creatures like that. And it's always something that I'm sort of seeking in the background. Don't necessarily get to do as often as I'd like to, but I just love it when, like the chocolate. And I did another one for Garage Project with salt a wee while ago now. That was really fun, especially when so I created this hand lettering with salt on a paper surface for a pop-up bar that Garage Project were doing. And it takes several hours to do because you're like pouring salt into the shapes of letters and then kind of with a paintbrush sculpting it into the perfect shapes. Yeah. And was doing it in a recording studio, and I spent the hours making it, and then the whole point was to capture a video of it getting blown away with the air compressor. And it was all ready to go, and we got the air compressor out and the videographer was all set up and ready, and he sort of swept the air compressor across and it all blew away. I looked at his face just as he was finishing. I could just see it drop. Like, what's happened? That I forgot to turn the autofocus off on the camera.
Oh, no.
So the camera is going in and out of focus and blurry colors. So
oh no. So you had to put it all back into the letters.
oh, see you tomorrow.
Oh no.
He was devastated. He was so I mean, I kind of thought it was funny because shit happened. It's all right. It's too late. It's happened.
Oh no. But there must be lots of times like that with these kind of projects that sort of, relying on weather or all sorts of sort of outside factors that are sometimes out of your control. Also human factors, Yeah, it's interesting.
Totally. I think for us to have that control taken away every now and then, it's like, it's good. It's good character building.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's happened. It's like street art. Like you have to just let it go. So if that gets tagged or if the building gets busted down, which happens, like, well, yeah, it's gone now.
Yeah, and that's just the way it is. That's the nature of those that kind of art form, I guess. It's not always there forever. Yeah. So what advice, Kelly, would you have to people who are, really interested in the kind of work that you do, especially the mural, public project type work? What advice would you have for people wanting to get into that?
Yeah, I often find that question interesting because the route that I took is, I feel like it's easier these days because of social media, and I might be wrong because I think there's two sides to that coin. Like you have more availability to be seen, but it's also a very, very saturated world. So maybe it's harder to get seen. I don't know, but make the work that you want to make is, I think, really good advice. If you want to be doing murals, paint murals, find a way to paint murals so that you have got examples that you can do a mural, do it for free, do it on a board, find somebody that's got a wall that they're happy for you to paint. But the more people see you doing the thing that you want to do, the more likelihood that you're going to get employed to do the thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
And the other piece of advice, which I always find very important to pass on, is never undersell yourself, which is something I was told when I was quite young by another artist. And he said to me, every time you undercharge, you are underselling the whole industry. And I was like, oof, responsibility.
Yeah.
Get down the whole art community. And it's hard. Charging hard. It'll always be hard. But you just have to do it. Like a lot's changed in these years. Art as a career is taken a lot more seriously than it was when I was younger. It's become more normal, so it's become more accepted.
Yeah, it really has.
That's just where we're at with it. Don't try to be someone else when you're starting out or when you want to follow a creative career, and stick at it. Like the people that get far, and I think about this often. It is, some people are naturally inclined to have that naive confidence that I'm fortunate to have. Like I know that I'm lucky to have that, and it's, it continues to push me forward. Not everyone has that. Like we're humans, everyone has different internal skill sets, but so for some you have to push a lot harder to keep going forward, and maybe get people behind you that can keep encouraging you and set up systems and whatever it takes to ensure that you're always striving towards the next step, even if you don't know what the step beyond that is, but to make work and get work out there and get employed. And yeah. It makes sense.
It does. It's really good advice. And, you're an amazing role model for people coming through, because you've made such a great career out of what you do and what you love. And, the way that people contact you and the opportunities that you've had are obviously to do with your talent, but also the person you are. And you've just got out there and made it happen, which is amazing. So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. It's been lovely meeting you. And the whole time we've been talking, you've been saturated in sunshine, which, as I said, is
good.
Very appropriate. And it's been lovely to hear about your journey. And I think, the stuff that you have to say and your advice will be really useful for lots of people. So thank you very much, Kelly. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a total pleasure. I love doing this.